lower rib cage moving? Can you get it to move?
Well, I have a question about that.
Great.
I did some heart rhythm meditation a few years ago, and as I recall, the instructors of that basically said, move your stomach.
Yeah, move your belly.
So what I have tried to retain over the years is a focus in that area. But when I got your email, it was a little confusing.
Okay.
Because I don't actually feel my rib cage moving. I feel my abdomen moving.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's right or wrong, or, I don't know how to differentiate. I don't know what I'm going for. Like, am I already moving the part that I need to be moving? Or is the focus on the abdomen taking me in a direction that's not as good as actually rib cage moving?
I'm glad you asked that. So just for the fun of it, while we talk, put your hand on the side of lower ribs.
Where you're actually feeling ribs.
Where you're actually feeling
Okay.
ribs. The lower 2 or 3 is fine.
Yeah.
Or if you can, and pay attention to how that moves. So here we are in this yoga teachers training conference, and there are 300 yogi trainers in the lecture hall. And in yoga class, basically there are all kinds of breaths to do different things, and the easiest one to get a hold of is moving the belly. Moving the belly is really good and important, and more helpful than moving the upper chest. But I remember when the guy said, and now check to see your rib cage, and there was this audible that went over the whole auditorium, because we had all been telling people to use their abdomen, which is fabulous practice. It's better than, like I said, moving the upper chest or the shoulders. But if you can move your ribs, then we know mechanically you're actively using the diaphragm. If you're not moving the lower ribs, then the abdominal muscles are doing it. So you've got 3 sets of abdominal muscles, right? Imagine moving this to pull your diaphragm down.
Is that what we're going for?
No.
Okay.
For this to relax and maybe help a little bit is fine, or to get a handle on this when you're really stressed out or you're in yoga class, then use the abdominal muscles, because that's the easiest thing to get a hold of. But if you can move the lower rib cage, the vagus nerve, the 10th cranial nerve, runs along the 8th rib, and it runs through the spleen, the stomach, and the diaphragm. If that's moving, you're telling your nervous system everything's okay. I got plenty of juice, whatever's going on here, we can actively move this diaphragm, and we're automatically giving a signal to the whole sympathetic and parasympathetic involuntary control of your stress response. If you're moving the lower rib cage, we know that that's actively moving. And the stronger your diaphragm is, then the stronger you are. Moving the diaphragm with the stomach is like me moving my arm right now. And if you use the lower rib cage to move, then you're using your actual diaphragm. You use your intercostal muscles to open actually it moves straight out. It's very counterintuitive. If you can move the lower rib cage out at all, then your diaphragm is really helped. When you take an inhale, your diaphragm moves down. It's very anti-intuitive. And so just play with it. When you do that 10 minutes of work, this is the most important thing to get down, being able to move this. And if you can't move it now, don't worry. Over time, it will become more easy. Is it easier, Linda?
Mm-hmm.
Audrey? Is it easier to move the lower rib cage now?
Do you want your abdomen relaxed, or do you want to hold your abdomen, like hold your stomach in?
No, just relax.
Just relax.
Just relax. The least effort, the better. And once you get it trained, then it moves itself. How about you, Mr. Bill?
Am I doing
You're doing it. I'm watching your hands.
it? The thing that you said that helped me the most was at the end of the exhale, push the rib cage in, to actively push it in, so that when it expands, you can feel it expand, and those muscles start to pick up on what they can do. Push on the exhale, and then you automatically
yes.
Do you mean push with your hand?
And physically push the lower ribs at the end of the exhale. Try to exhale everything you can, and you'll feel them go in. But then when you inhale, it's either gotta come, with me, I was a chest breather, my chest would rise, so I had to work, I'm working on trying to keep my chest out of it, my upper chest out of it, and get these ribs to expand outward. And the only way I could get it was by pushing in at the end of the exhale. If you try it at home, or if you have your wife grab your ribs when you're laying in bed, she can tell for you, you can tell for her. It's much easier to have someone to help you and tell you how you're doing.
It's really helpful.
What's your belly doing?
My belly is relaxed.
I mean, is it going in and out some?
Yes, it's going in and out. And the more relaxed I am, the more in and out it goes, but without effort. When I'm doing a complete breath for different kinds of practices, like after yoga or during yoga, or even to prepare for meditation, then everything moves all the way up. But for baseline breathing, we want to get this moving so that anytime you want to or need to, you can grab it and just move the intercostals. One of the advantages of this, now if you use your belly muscles to breathe all the time, you can get a really good volume, which is really good, but again, it takes a great deal more effort to control this much meat than it does the intercostal muscles, and that's probably why it's designed that way. But also, when you're moving, now when the diaphragm is moved by something else, its attachments aren't moved quite so much. When you're moving the diaphragm actively, you're automatically massaging the inside of your spine, because it's like a tie, it's like a sarong, actually. The way the muscles attach along the inside of the spine, and it goes way low into your lumbar spine and higher up into your thoracic spine. So if you're moving your diaphragm actively, you're automatically giving your spine a massage with every breath. Yeah?
Yeah, well, the first few times I did that breathing and I could feel my rib cage moving. It was actually uncomfortable back here, like, oh my gosh, the breath's getting into my back where it usually doesn't get or something. That's what it felt like. But that
Exactly.
alleviated, but at first, that was the first few thing, like, it hurts back here to breathe that way.
That's a really good point. When you first begin doing this, you may feel sore, just like you've started a new workout, because that's exactly what this does. It uses, imagine not moving this much meat, all of your intercostals. Imagine not moving the muscles, the attachments on the inner side of the spine for 40 years, 20 years, 30 years. This is, at the same time, really simple, but it's rocket science. Being able to massage the inside of your spine with any part of your breathing pattern any day is huge importance to the health and strength of your back. This is huge importance to your immune system, because the more you're in parasympathetic stimulation, the better hormones work, the better your spleen and your digestion and your pancreas works. So this is at once very simple and very complicated. So just, if all of the things, you can all go home now. This is the most important thing to get from this workshop. And yes, it is hard at first. And yes, you'll get sore in places you didn't know you could get sore at first, but it'll be really worth it. If you imagine giving yourself a massage without having to pay $65, and you don't even have to take your clothes off, and you can do it anytime with other people around. So this is the most important thing. It's also the stimulation of that vagus nerve. Immediately, you're more centered. Your circulation to your fingers and toes are just fine. So if you have to think fast, if you have to knit or whatever, it really, really helps everything. So that's a really good point. If you practice this 10 minutes, this is like a workout, 10 minutes at a time. And you'll get a little sore in here, but this is a good thing. This is waking up muscles that haven't been used for much of anything else, except for doing severe twists and side bends. So you will get a little sore, but it'll be really worth it. In fact,